Ms. Joan Pereira.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm heartened by the government's continued commitment to do its utmost to provide the necessary assistance and support to help Singaporeans cope with the rise in the cost of living and the impending increase in GST, from food to utility bills, service and conservancy charges, and more. The monies set aside for the assistance packages are substantial. Though these can offset the GST increases for up to 10 years for the lowest income group, we should continue to look out for those among us who need more support. However, faced with higher costs in their daily expenses, from the prices of food and drinks to other grocery bills, Singaporeans are feeling the pinch constantly. Every day when people have to pay the extra 20 or 30 cents more for their beverages and 50 cents more for their food, they feel squeezed. The elderly and retired feel such financial pressures especially keenly, so that adds an additional layer of stress and anxiety to their lives. It is therefore important to remind worried Singaporeans that there is a package to help offset these increases. Through this package, as well as other support schemes that are in place, the planned GST hike will also be delayed and staggered, which is welcomed. However, it will be especially helpful to provide some reassurance that the government is watching the inflation rate very closely and will consider additional support measures when necessary. As for our elderly residents living in private estates, I have received some feedback that they don't receive as much assistance. Yes, they do receive assistance, but understandably, it will be less than HDB dwellers. I urge MOF to consider highlighting the various payouts to all residents in both public and private housing estates through a letter or email to them, or a mode of communication that they are comfortable with. Though this might alleviate some stress, I would still appeal for more consideration of some cases, as they do have genuine circumstances that do warrant more support. Our sandwich class. Singaporeans in the middle income group have always felt that they are sandwiched, as their incomes are not rising as fast as the inflation rate. On the other hand, they are not receiving as much help as the lower income groups, and yet they are contributing taxes and also have to grapple with increased prices. They feel strongly that the incremental revenue needs to come from the affluent and not the middle income sandwich class, considering that our taxes are still low compared to countries we are competing against. Some have suggested taxing capital gains and dividends and increasing them progressively. However, I know that we are not taking that route today, as it will not help to attract investors and companies who are coming to set up shop in Singapore. But I do sincerely hope that the government watches this space carefully so that the sandwich class does not feel squeezed. On the employment pass issue, I have also received feedback from some residents that foreigners' salaries seem to be going up faster than local salaries. This is actually a misunderstanding of our EP policy. There is misinformation going around regarding this, and the misperception has to be corrected. They are referring to the minimum qualifying salary for new EP applicants, which will be raised from $4,500 to $5,000, and for the financial services sector from $5,000 to $5,500. So this change is in fact a higher barrier to foreigners, and to get employers to hire locals for job functions at this salary level instead of foreigners. Some Singaporeans have misunderstood this to be pushing employers of new EP applicants to give them a salary increment instead of the intent of this change, which is to put up a higher barrier. I hope that the Manpower Ministry can continue to watch out for such employment trends in the months to come and to be ready to take firm action if employers are found to be abusing the system at the expense of local staff. Turning to hawker trade heritage, a topic very close to many of us and our hearts. Affordable food in our hawker centres has helped to keep the cost of living manageable. These delicious dishes are loved by all income groups. Unfortunately, many of our hawkers do not have successes to their trade. Their children are not interested, as many have jobs which do not require long hours on their feet over a hot stove. But I do know that many of our aging hawkers do want to hand down their recipes and techniques so that their food can continue to be enjoyed by future generations. I hope to hear about the progress of the Hawker Succession Scheme, or HSS for short, which facilitates the pairing up of a retiring veteran hawker with an apprentice so as to pass down his or her culinary skills, recipes, and hawker stall to the aspiring successor. May I suggest that NEA facilitate the transition and pay the veteran hawker the appropriate compensation amount while the skills are taught to the apprentice. The compensation sum should reflect the value of the heritage recipe and technique. In turn, the apprentice could be bonded to the stall for periods, say 3 years, for example, if I may say so, similar to a government scholarship with a bond. This will help to keep our hawker trade alive and ensure that our hawker culture stays on the UNESCO representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. We should also start reviewing how we can transform the hawker trade. How can we improve the work conditions so as to attract more younger hawkers? Is it possible to improve productivity in the hawker trade, ensure fair prices, rest, and medical care? I have already seen some hawkers adopting machines to automate their cooking or other processes, and we have seen how most of our hawkers have now adopted digital payments. We will therefore need to review all aspects and think out of the box to keep our hawker traditions alive. Singapore will definitely not be the same without our hawkers, and we have to put in greater effort to support the hardworking men and women who labor every day to fill our stomachs with delicious and affordable meals. Sir, in Mandarin. 我们的小贩中心提供美味实惠的菜肴，是所有收入群体都喜爱的。不幸的是，许多小贩没有继任者，他们的孩子都不感兴趣。但我们年迈的小贩确实希望将他们的食谱和技术传承下去。我是否可以建议当局考虑设立特别计划，给资深小贩适当的赔偿金，让他们传授食谱和技能给学徒。赔偿金能够反映食谱和技术的价值。学徒继承摊位后，必须在摊位上工作一段时间，例如3年。这将有助于保持我们的小贩传统，并确保我们的小贩文化将保留在联合国教科文组织人类非物质文化遗产代表名录上。Sir, I conclude with my support for the budget. Thank you.